Hello, welcome everybody to our episode 50 today. Today we are going to talk about why it is important, why to know the difference between emotional and binge eating to overcome it. So oftentimes we entwine emotional binge eating, and so we're just going to break it down a little bit for you today. Welcome to the group. If you are new here, say hello. If you are a seasoned person here, say hello. We would love to interact with you and talk to you. So glad you're here. And even if you're watching the replay, welcome. I'm Hannah Hips. Sierra is not going to join us today. She is doing something with her daughter, so you will get me. I am the coach as well as Sierra is the coach in this group, and we are eating psychology, mind-body nutrition coaches that see food as an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to know ourselves better, and to really find freedom in our life in food. Like, we love donuts, we love vegetables, and there's this nice healthy balance between food. Our relationship with food gets so crazy. Like, we hear all the time, it's confusing. Like, eat at this time, don't eat at this time, have this, don't have that. And so it can get really confusing out there. And especially if you are just wanting to get healthy and you're like, I don't know why I'm emotional eating, why am I binge eating, why am I having these crazy night cravings? We want to help you break it down so you understand really what's happening. Like, what's the root cause? What is underneath all of your behavior around food? Because once you understand it, then you're able to actually do something about it instead of being on this cycle of like trying to do good and then you don't do good and then you fall off the wagon and then you binge, and it's just like this cycle that never ends, right? It's this loop that you're on and you're like, when am I going to get off this loop? When am I going to get off this ride? Because it's not fun anymore. So that's why we wanted to break down emotional eating and binge eating to help you understand like the reasons why they come up and how you can start to overcome them. So let's dive in. I want to honor your time, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. So first, let's define these two things. Emotional eating is eating in response to a different emotion. All right, so you're eating because of emotions. Now, binge eating is eating in response to real, perceived, or accidental restriction around food. So if you are restricting food, you most likely will binge. Okay, so I'm going to talk about how they actually interlink as well. So how they overlap. Emotions make us have willpower, right? It's like you're trying to maintain your emotions. It takes willpower and it can be difficult to maintain. So when you're falling off, then if you are trying to suppress or numb your emotions, that's a lot of work, right? And what tends to happen is then we eat, and then we often say this, and so this is kind of where they entwine. Say you emotional eat and you're like, okay, I am not going to emotional eat anymore. I'm going to, really watch make sure that I do other things and then eat if I am feeling stressed or anxious or tired or sad or whatever comes up. So you are unintentionally have this restriction around food because you're telling yourself you're not going to emotionally eat. So what tends to happen when you have any kind of restriction, it's going to swing over to binge eating. So you're trying not to emotionally eat. So you watch what you eat. You don't eat when you are feeling a certain way. And then it backfires because later on, right before dinner, maybe after dinner, right before bed, you binge eat. You can't control yourself. You eat the whole bag of chips or ice cream and you're like, what the heck happened with me? I just binged on all this food. What happened? So can you see there's this, they both have to do with restriction. One is restricting emotions and the other one is restricting food. So you can kind of see how they are related. So I want to break down all of the food rules also that you might have. If you have food rules, which is I don't eat after 5, or I can't have carbs, I can only eat for this amount of hours, you know, all the different food rules that you have, this food is bad, those are also going to be restriction, which is going to lead to binge eating. So emotional eating is dealing with emotions. Binge eating is dealing with restriction around food. So let's play this game here a second. Are you mentally dieting? So are there inclinations that you are thinking about? Like, we could be mentally dieting, which is going to bring in restriction. So we think oftentimes restriction comes in the form of sustaining from food. Like, that's restriction. Like, I'm not eating that, I'm eating less of it. But also there is mental restriction too. So if you're doing things to lose weight, or what you are thinking, your thoughts and your beliefs all have something to do with restriction. So here are some ways that we can be unintentionally restricting or mentally dieting. If you weigh yourself every day, if you're feeling guilty after eating anything in any portion, so that is a restriction. Feeling guilty after eating, monitoring the calories you're eating, feeling like you have to exercise every day, talking about food all day, like thinking about food all day. Like, do you wake up in the morning and think about food constantly? And it's like at breakfast you're thinking about lunch, and at lunch you're thinking about dinner. You're like, what are we gonna have? If you have secret food rules, like don't eat after 7, those are kind of signs that you are mentally dieting. And when we're mentally dieting, it can cause a lot of unwanted eating habits. And so it's not that you could also say, we've heard this before too, like, I'm not restricting because I'm eating everything in sight, right? Like, I'm binging all the time. I'm not restricting. I'm letting myself have that whole bag of chips, and I don't like it. But the thing is, you feel guilty about it. You don't like it. You don't want to do it. All of that is going to cause restriction, because I was talking to someone that I work with actually yesterday, and she was talking about how she was trying not to emotionally eat. And I asked her, I go, well, when you eat anything, do you feel guilty? And she's like, well, yes, of course. And I was like, well, that's going to cause you to eat more, right? So when we are feeling guilty about something, we are going to eat more than what we actually probably wanted to start with. We can't have that just one piece of cake. We have to have 3 pieces of cake if we feel guilty about it. So, and I'm just going to give you this like little tidbit. Once you get rid of guilt around food, oh gosh, your body starts to relax, and you're able to monitor and understand like how much to eat is enough for you. And I just want you to also know the amount that you eat is going to change from day to day, from seasons in your life, activity level, what you're doing. So when we're trying to control the amount of food that we have, and we have to have this amount of food every single day in this kind of meal, this is how much I can have, we're not doing our body a service, because our body is ever changing. The amount of food, or the amount of energy that we need is going to change. There's some days that I eat really big lunches, and some days I eat smaller lunches. Some days I eat big dinners, and some days I eat smaller dinners. There's no particular amount of food that you need. This is what Sierra and I do. We help you learn how to find out the amount of food, the portions, the what, for yourself, for your own life, your own body, because everybody's different. Okay, so binge and emotional eating are different, but they also do overlap. So if you're trying to restrict emotional eating, you will binge. So let me know if this was helpful for you, because I think oftentimes they get entwined a little bit and confusing. So we help, Sierra and I help both emotional eating and binge eating, because they are related and we understand it. I was an emotional eater as well as a binge eater. I had both of them. And we help stressed out women overcome emotional binge eating, so that you stop obsessing about food and actually eat normal. That means it's like you're not thinking about food all day. You think about it when you're hungry. And then you realize when you're hungry, you're able to listen to that and know when you're hungry. So we have some really exciting news. If you are interested in like really overcoming emotional binging, and you're like, you know what, I'm tired of getting on this cycle, I want to jump off this boat and try a different way. If you're feeling like you're gaining weight from your emotional eating, you feel stressed out about it, you feel like it's ruling your life, you can't think about anything else, we have a program that we are opening the doors to today, and we're going to have some announcement later on today, and we're actually going to go live about it tomorrow to talk about the program and how it can really serve you and help you. But it's called the Empowered Eating Inner Circle. It's our signature program. We've had so many people go through it and see transformation of like, they thought about food all the time to being like, oh my God, I had ice cream in my freezer for a week now and I didn't even think about it. That never happened before. So it is possible for you to have this freedom with food and to end emotional eating. A lot of our clients, it naturally happens. You don't have to force yourself to stop emotional eating, which then leads to binge eating, right? It happens naturally when you start to work on your relationship with food, and our eating psychology method really helps you get to like the mindset, the understanding of like how to eat, get your body out of survival, more into relaxed state, so you can honor your own hunger cues and things like that. So we are super excited to be opening the doors to our inner circle. We just are ending, like we're about to finish this last cycle. We only open these a couple times a year, and we take you on a journey for 6 months. It's absolutely amazing. We take you from point A to point B, step by step, of how to overcome emotional eating, binge eating, any unwanted eating habit that you have, so that you are free to eat what you want and enjoy yourself around food and actually live your life, because it tends to take up all of your life. So look out for later on today about a little bit of announcement. See us tomorrow. We're going to go live at 8 a.m. Mountain and 10 a.m. Eastern right here in this group. So we look forward to sharing more with you, and we are super excited. We would love for you to join us if you are ready to really start to heal your relationship with food. So you can always comment below and say, I'm ready, and we will send you a message, because we do, what is the word? I want to say filter, but we do want to make sure that you're a right fit for the program. So we do talk to you before you join, and to see if it is a right fit for you, for us, and we'll be on our way. All right, have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.